Did you know that 7 out of 10 people don't know the basic rules of bar etiquette? And you thought tripping over the bar stool was the biggest faux pas? If you've ever found yourself uncertain about the do's and don'ts of a night at your favorite pub, you're in good company, so buckle up. We're about to dive into the top 10 blunders you should avoid the next time you visit your favorite watering hole. Get ready to traverse the sometimes confusing, often amusing landscape of bar etiquette. Prepare for a fun-filled adventure that promises to be as entertaining as it is enlightening. Kicking off with number 10, always remember to tip your bartender. Although it appears to be a trivial oversight, it is in fact a substantial social blunder. Bartenders put in a lot of effort to serve your drinks promptly, and a tip is a minor symbol of your gratitude. Now let me tell you a funny little anecdote. There was once a gentleman who, after having a few drinks many, completely forgot to tip his bartender. The next time he came in, the bartender served his beer with a straw and a cocktail umbrella. When the customer asked why, the bartender replied, "Well, last time you forgot the tip, so I figured you might like your beer served like a cocktail this time." Rolling right along to number 9, let's talk about not monopolizing the bartender's time. Picture this. There once was a talkative fellow named Ted who thought he was the life of the party. One night he decided he'd become best friends with the bartender, and boy did he try. He ordered one of every cocktail on the menu just to keep the bartender's attention, and told tale after tale, oblivious to the bartender's increasing weariness. When the bartender finally managed to escape, Ted ordered a bowl of peanuts just to keep him near. Remember folks, unlike Ted, you're not the only patron in the bar. The bartender has other customers to attend to as well. Keep your orders succinct and your anecdotes shorter than Ted's endless tales. Number 8 on our list is, never snap or whistle at the bartender to get their attention. It's not just rude and disrespectful, but it can also land you in some hilarious situations. Take for instance this one customer who snapped their fingers at the bartender. The bartender, thinking it was a cue for the secret cocktail of the day, whipped up the most potent concoction and served it to the customer. The customer's face turned a funny shade of green and they started hiccuping uncontrollably. So remember, a simple wave or eye contact works just fine unless you're up for a memorable adventure. 7th on our list, don't bring your own drinks. It's not only frowned upon but can also be illegal in some places. There was this funny incident where a customer once tried to smuggle his own 6-pack of beer under a heavy winter coat, even though it was a balmy summer day. Needless to say, he raised a few eyebrows. He thought he'd outsmart the system, but instead, he ended up being the talk of the town, with his beer cans clucking like a hen's nest whenever he moved. Not to forget, his bold attempt was a good source of laughter for all the patrons, and he was gently reminded of the rules by the amused staff. So, for the love of good humor and the law, respect the establishment and purchase your drinks there. Number 6. Don't get overly intoxicated. It's a bar, not a frat party. Keep your drinking within limits to maintain a pleasant environment for everyone. Let me tell you a little tale for perspective. Once there was a bloke named Larry, who decided to challenge the entire bar to a tequila showdown. After all, he was convinced he could outdrink everyone. Well, Larry ended up serenading a mop he mistook for a lady, and declared his undying love for it, all while wearing a lampshade as a hat. The mop, however, remained unimpressed. So folks, remember Larry and keep your spirits in check, but not quite in checkmate like our friend here. Halfway through our list at number 5. Never harass other patrons. Respect everyone's personal space and boundaries. A bar is a public space, and everyone has the right to enjoy their time without being bothered. Let me tell you a humorous incident about Phil, an over-enthusiastic customer who didn't quite get the concept of personal space. One chilly Friday night, Phil decided to make the entire bar his stage for an impromptu karaoke session. Not only did he insist on performing every duet solo, he also got a little too friendly with other patrons, trying to include them in his performance. Let's just say by the end of the night, Phil had not only butchered Summer Nights from Greece, but also earned himself the title of most likely to be dodged. Number 4, don't forget your manners. Please and thank you go a long way in making interactions smoother and more pleasant. And just to lighten the mood, here's a little anecdote. There was once a customer at a quaint little coffee shop who didn't believe in using the magic words. One day he barked, "Coffee, black, now!" The barista, with a twinkle in her eye, handed him a cup of steaming hot water. When he raised an eyebrow, she just shrugged and said, Well, you didn't say please, so I assumed you were ordering in code. Black means water in barista language. The customer was left spluttering, but you can bet your last dollar he never forgot his manners again. So folks, remember that manners and a simple please or a thank you can often save you from an unexpected and humorous misunderstanding. Third on the list, never argue about your tab. Let me tell you a funny little tale to illustrate this point. One time there was a customer, let's call him Tipsy Tim. Now, Tipsy Tim had a habit of indulging a bit too much and then complaining about his tab. One night, after downing a few too many glasses of fancy overpriced tequila, Tim decided he'd been overcharged. So he didn't just question it, oh no, he started a full-on tequila-fueled debate with the bartender. He was passionately arguing about every single shot he'd taken, or not taken, according to him. The funniest part was, the bartender, after patiently listening to Tim's argument, showed him CCTV footage of him dancing with the bottle and pouring his own shots. Let's just say, Tim's face was a sight to behold. So if you think there's a mistake, address it politely with the bartender or manager. Don't be like Tipsy Tim. The second last point at number 2, don't drink and drive. It's not just illegal, but it also jeopardizes your life and the lives of others. Let me give you a chucklesome instance. We had a customer once who, after a few too many drinks, thought he could outsmart the system. He decided to drive his car home himself. Long story short, he ended up parking his car in a swimming pool, mistaking it for a parking lot. It was a fortunate thing that no one was hurt, but it made for a memorable scene the next morning. So always have a designated driver or use a taxi or a rideshare service. And finally, the number one thing you should never do in a bar is to start a fight. It's not only dangerous, but can also result in you being banned from the bar or even facing legal repercussions. Now let me tell you about a guy we affectionately dubbed Barroom Balboa. One night, in a quest to defend his honor over a game of darts gone wrong, Balboa decided to take on the entire bar. Long story short, he ended up swinging from the chandelier like Tarzan, only to land smack on the pool table, belly flopping straight into the 8-ball. Needless to say, he was not only banned, but also had an unexpected meeting with the local law enforcement. Not quite the night out he had in mind. In conclusion, here are the top 10 things you should never do in a bar. Don't forget to tip. Don't monopolize the bartender's time. Don't snap or whistle at the bartender. Don't bring your own drinks. Don't get overly intoxicated. Don't harass other patrons. Don't forget your manners. Don't argue about your tab. Don't drink and drive. And never start a fight. But let me tell you, if you end up doing all of these in one single night, you might just end up with a free lifetime ban from the bar, an autographed picture of you behind the bar captioned, "Most Wanted," and maybe your very own personal bartender, the cop at the local jailhouse. Bottoms up to a night you'll never remember, and they'll never forget. Remember, a bar is a place for socializing and relaxation, not for turning it into your own personal circus ring. By avoiding these faux pas, you can ensure a pleasant and enjoyable night out.